Previously on Vampire the Masquerade, Big Easy by Night. The coterie awoke again in Mia's penthouse. Jason had the TV on, where the news was reporting on a protest earlier in the day at City Hall. Johnny recognized one of the protesters from his past, Jenny. She was the reason he had spent 15 years in prison. Johnny wanted Silas to dig up as much as he could on Jenny. The Nosferatu was happy to help, also taking the opportunity to amplify the message of her group to cause problems for City Hall. Silas was good at his job, building an entire profile on Jenny that included all of her social media accounts, even her tax returns. Diane took the opportunity to check in with Allie to see if there had been any additional information released on the Redwood story. She reported there was nothing new. Mia followed up with Jeremy to see if there was any updates on his end. The uniformed officer who had bagged the evidence hadn't properly sealed the jar of blood marked Max Bowden, and with the chain of custody broken, it was now inadmissible as evidence. Subsequently, there was a lot of screaming coming down from higher up the chain of command, just as the coterie had planned. With no immediate leads, Silas and Diane started looking into financial ties between Redwood, the Baron de Tenebris website, and the Knight's Cross. Mia took the opportunity to attend an evening service at the cathedral, while Johnny left to go feed his dogs, before actually heading to Jenny's house. In the 15 years since Johnny had last seen her, it appeared that Jenny had gotten married and had a kid. She appeared to have been scared straight, avoiding prison, and not making any overt eco-terrorist attacks like in their youth. Johnny left without revealing his presence. Silas was able to learn that Redwood and the Baron de Tenebris website had both made a number of donations to a megachurch in Metairie called the Church of the Redeemer. Diane was able to find further ties to a Louisiana senator named Benjamin Lockwood. Diane called his stalker, Jenna, who happened to be a political aide, to see if she could set up a meeting with Lockwood. Conveniently, Lockwood was holding a function later that evening for a number of lobbyists, and Jenna was able to get Diane on the invite list. Mia wanted Silas to dig into Lockwood to find out as much about the man as possible. Information on the senator was difficult. Before his political career, he had been the director of the CIA's Special Activities Division. The coterie wondered if that meant he had ties to the Second Inquisition. Diane looked through the executives of the various companies Lockwood was tied to, hoping to find someone he could disguise himself as. He found someone similar enough to masquerade as, having Johnny pose as his bodyguard. Mia dropped them off, staying with the car. She didn't want to risk her La Sombre Bane interfering with any of the security tech present at the event. Diane worked the crowd, trying to gauge what people thought of Lockwood. He was a pillar of the community, attending service at the Church of the Redeemer every Sunday. He was for the Second Amendment and against abortion. Politically, he was very well liked by the lobbyists present. Working the crowd was also a means of scouting for other supernaturals, but near as Diane could tell, he and Johnny were the only vampires in the room. Approaching Lockwood, Diane offered his condolences for the loss of his friend, Paul Sterry. The Tremere wanted to probe their relationship without making it too obvious. Lockwood and Sterry attended the same church, but that was as much as Diane could learn. He waited for the senator to head to the bathroom, wanting to use this as an opportunity to use his mental disciplines to learn more. Lockwood's faith served as a shield against Diane's attempt. Sensing the presence of evil, the senator uttered a prayer which forced Diane to step back. Fleeing the bathroom, Diane whispered to Johnny that Lockwood might be an inquisitor. The two vampires quickly left the event before any attention was drawn to them. They walked past me in the car, meeting up with the rest of the coterie a few blocks later. They considered their next move, deciding to check out the church to see if they could find any records connecting Redwood, Lockwood, and the Knight's Cross. They drove out to Metairie and the stadium-sized megachurch. Mia and Silas snuck in, Mia pretending to pray to serve as a distraction for the obfuscated Silas. Avoiding the cameras, Silas picked the lock blocking access to the offices. He found a computer to log into, trying to find building access. Unfortunately, it wasn't an IoT-connected building and still relied on physical locks. He found a filing room, but wanted Mia's assistance in gaining access to it. Moving the cameras to point at the walls, he grabbed Mia and returned back to the filing room. Mia got the door open, and the two started going through records, trying to match payables to receivables. Silas discovered that the church was making regular payments to Josephine. Lockwood was also making donations to the church in equal amounts to what Josephine was being paid. It appeared as though the senator was using the church to fund a paramilitary group of vampire hunters. They took pictures of the documents, putting the original files back, and moving the cameras back into place before leaving the megachurch. They'd figured out the money, but still had no answers on where the information was coming from. How had Redwood learned about Sarah and Susan? They headed back to the hotel so that Silas could begin digging deeper into the Baron de Tenebris site. Mia dropped them off, wanting to swing by Sarah's to check on her. The beast rose and paranoia took over. No one could be trusted. Heading to the French Quarter, Mia snuck into the cathedral in the safety of the catacombs. Alone in the dark was the only way she would be safe. Before digging into the website, Silas grabbed an Uber and headed for the Royal Oak Hospital, paying the diner there to allow him access to a corpse that had overdosed on purple heroin. When he was alone, Silas fed on the corpse, but it tasted off. It wasn't the high he normally got. His hunger sated, he returned to the hotel and began searching for the administrator of Baron de Tenebris. It looked as though it had been moved to a new server after it was knocked offline the night before. Silas tracked the location to an internet cafe in the French Quarter called High Velocity. Silas and Diane decided to check out the cafe on their own. Silas quickly realizing this is where Gabriella hung out. Talking to her, he revealed what he had learned. She checked on her own, but the website was now showing an IP address in the warehouse district. Diane recognized the address as Dark Hour Security. It was obvious whoever the administrator was, he was messing with them. To be continued.